Well, firstly, welcome to our new demonstration and training facility.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, and it's taken us some time to put it together, but we're really pleased with how it's turned out. And we took the decision early on not to go for a mock operating theatre. We wanted this very much to be a facility where we can both demonstrate all of our equipment, but also give people an idea of how it might be laid out in a hospital without having to go off to a plant room, but also to allow people to come here for training for our own staff and for our customers. But one of the other things we found is that increasingly, as operating theatres get more complicated, that we wanted the ability for customers to come here so that they could actually configure the room the way they want.
Right.
So that they can get used to everything from what accessories they might hang from the pendants, what camera arrangement they might have on the lights, and what audio-visual, AV kit they might need in the background. But one of the other decisions we took early on was that some of the other product that we're probably equally well known for is the medical IT or isolated power. So we've got that. We've got our battery backup and our UPS in here as well, so people can get a flavour of what it is. It would normally be in a plant room, which is either adjacent to the operating room or can be above or below even. And then we've also got our PAX system and our two versions of our theatre control panel. Both of those are installed. Everything is live, including our EBB panel down the side as well, so we've got everything that goes through to a common earth. One of the slightly different things that we did above the ceiling, and we've installed a large frame outside the demo room, is to give us the opportunity to reconfigure the room at will almost. So whilst we've got a fair selection of our equipment already installed in the ceilings here, we can actually take that down and put that somewhere else that might fit in with what a customer wants to do. It's also being used, and not today because we're being discreet about some of the things that we're developing, is it enables us to develop in a reasonably live environment, so we can see what changes that we make to our equipment and how they might go down with the customers.
So what kind of people are you looking to get through the door and demonstrate some of these technologies to? Who will benefit from this?
Well, we think of quite a broad selection of people, everything from architects, because as we've experienced previously, a lot of architects are particularly good at doing everything from large shopping malls and office blocks, but maybe not too experienced in doing hospitals. And what you would consider the fabric of hospital, they'll be quite familiar with. But once you start getting down to operating rooms, then they'll be able to come and see what goes into an operating room above the ceiling as much as anything else, with what we call first and second fix, so they can see what's required there and get a good understanding of the steels that will be required in the fabric of the building for us to hang our kit from it, basically. They can also an MEP, as they're now called, I think mechanical and electrical engineering companies.
Right.
When they come and look at what will be required to wire in the building and provide gases and that to the operating rooms, they'll be able to come in. And also we can bring operating department practitioners, they can come in, and clinicians as well, and they can play with the equipment and see if it's something that they can get on with. And I think as we've talked about previously, that some of our best showrooms, for want of a better word, are actually some of the facilities that we've installed. So we'll take end users potentially to those so they can talk to people who use the kit routinely, and also our own staff. And I think that there's a lot to be said for continuous training. And indeed, the 2 days prior to today, one of the engineers has been in here with our training manager as he continues his training. He's been with us about 6 months, one of our new field service engineers. So it's taken him a step further in his training as well. And we're also taking the precaution to video some of the training courses that we deliver, so that we'll be able to offer them through our online platform as well in due course. That's going to take a little bit more work to be done on that, but that's the type of people that we're aiming at.
Right. And I understand you do CPD training as well here.
We do. We are, in fact, we've got a portfolio of courses that we're just going through the final process now to get them validated by CPD. We've done them on an app-based and laptop-based platform. That's in addition to our in-person training as well, because we think that particularly with a lot of our field-based team, they like to do it when it suits them. So it's about having access to the training courses online. There's a lot. I think we're not groundbreakers in this. You know, we're just taking what other people have done too, but doing it quite well. So all of our guys will have that opportunity. But we also use it beyond our technical training. So whether it's to do more awareness training, and as you know, we've recently installed some AEDs in the building, so we did some training online for that, so that people, if they come across the scene and they, in the unlikely event we hope that they need to use them, that they're fully au fait with what they've got to do. So you know, we're pretty pleased with it. There'll be quite a few courses in very short order of time.
Excellent. So let's have a little look at some of the technologies that are on show here. You've got some fantastic technology. Perhaps you could give
well,
me
I think
a little
we
talk.
might start over here briefly, which is where we've got the equipment. Whilst we've been around since 1971, our background was in providing switching gear to things like water treatment plants and others.
Okay.
But over the course of time and the way that businesses come together, we started developing other things. In 1995, I think it was, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a requirement for having isolated power in Class 2 medical locations. So we developed the IPS, our IPS. There are others. And we've got the shorten the tool, and that depends very much on the amount of equipment that's inside it for monitoring and switching electrical power. It monitors maintenance power and can switch over to auxiliary power or UPS power, which is the kit that's behind you. And we do we've got a UPS partner, Power Control Limited, and we've worked with them for many years as well. And we do everything from fairly small IPS right up to the much larger ones. They go beyond the kilowatt. The technical side I don't fully understand, but they're sort of 600, I think it's 600 kilowatts, some of them. And then we've also got bypass switches that we use. That's allow us to, if anything, for maintenance. So you can switch between systems, and if there's a failure somewhere, you can switch over to another piece of equipment. So that's the IPS and UPS, sorry. And now you're heading over, even though this is perhaps not the best example, and we'll try and find another one, because some of the business end of it's around the other side, which is the medical equipment only power supply, which is on the blue socket most people will be familiar with. This is the Proteus pendant head, which we developed some years ago, which is six-sided unusually. A lot of them commonly, it's four-sided.
Right, okay.
So we've got three of the larger sizes which allow for power supplies, gas outlets, equipot terminals and the like. And then we've got the three smaller sides where we've got everything from some ambient lighting and also to provide a channel for data, which is increasingly used in theatres. And I think one of the things we've noticed that as everything gets more connected, you know, it's one of the things we've had to provide for within our equipment is the potential for hospitals to have more equipment and for it to be more connected. We also have IV poles and MediRail, so you can attach everything from additional IV drips and through to monitors, as you can see on this one. And also on the MediRail, we've got docking stations too, so that anaesthetic machines and ventilators and the like can be attached. This is on an electromagnetic brake, so it's controlled by this switch, which allows you to move it. But once you've moved it to the location you want, it will stay in place. So it just locks it in place. We also do a pneumatic brake, which is slightly different in the sense that in an emergency you can at least move the pendants to one side, if you need to work on them. So that's ours. This is an articulated pendant arm arrangement, and that we've got various different arrangements, including twin pendant sets as well. And we do other pendants, including, which is on the other side of the facility, we've got a fixed pendant, so a static pendant. It will rise and fall depending once the equipment's been connected to it, but then once that's done, it's up out of the way then, because originally that was intended that they would reduce the amount of cabling and hoses that were on the floor cluttering up the operating theatre.
Okay. And you mentioned the lighting as well.
Yes, we've had the good fortune for the last 20 years now, and we've established KLS to be the sort of premium brand in operating lights in the UK. As I said, we've worked with them. This is our 20th anniversary year, and this is the latest version of their main operating light. They do some other versions too. This is the X series. Very capable light with numerous colour temperatures and focus and shadow management, which a lot of our competitors don't have. It's been independently verified to work under UCV canopies. You can also include an HD camera in the centre of the light, which will record and allow, as you can see, we've got a monitor up above, but
right.
We won't pull that down out of the way. But you can either transmit that to another operating theatre, it can be used for teaching, and it can be used for archiving. And they also have wireless versions, and they're doing a 4K one too, and you get into really serious quality of a picture then. So that's an excellent light. We think it's the best light on the market, but we would say that. And then you've got the E3, which is a much smaller operating light for minor operations. You occasionally get those also included in the main operating theatre, but they're often in a minor injuries type place, you know, where you can do small surgery. Okay. And then we've just got some other variants of our pendants. And finally, in the middle, this is the OPT Vita operating table, and it had a number of accessories that come with it. It's just been configured as a plain operating table at the moment, but again, it's what impressed us about this and KLS is that the quality of the product really matches our own ethos about delivering a quality product that will last. So that's essentially, and that's the main equipment that we do. And I think the last two things really to talk about, apart from the packs in the middle, is the theatre control panels that we do. And this allows you not only to control the temperature, humidity and the function of the ultra clean ventilation canopy, but it also monitors the power supply. We talked earlier about IPS and UPS, so you can see from within the theatre, because they're often some distance away in a plant room. So it will alarm and tell you and indicate which circuits might be having a problem. We've also got a time elapsed clock, which is the digital one, so that will allow a surgeon to see exactly how long the operation's been ongoing. Can be used for other things too, such as if they have to cool the patient down, and they may want to keep an eye on how long that's been done. And then we have an analog clock for the time of day. Simple as that.
So what else sets this apart from other technologies that are available on the market?
I think, there are other people who have produced their own version of this. You know, I won't say copy because we're all slightly independent, but you know, we led the way really with the digital theatre control panel with the touch control. So this is a touch sensitive screen, so you don't have to press buttons or anything. Some of the early ones were buttons, but now this is touch sensitive. We've got some ideas up our sleeve for the future as well, but we won't go into that.
So we've covered some of the training that you can offer here, and this fantastic facility. What about in terms of some of the innovation that you're seeing come to the fore? What are some of the exciting things that we can look forward to?
I think one of the, ChatGPT seems to be on everybody's lips at the moment, but I think AI has been around for a little bit longer than that, and we can clearly see that a lot of products now are coming into the theatre, so we've got to make provision for that. We also know that there's a drive towards augmented reality for surgeons to enable them to carry out surgery actually without having to worry about a PACS machine or a screen, because they'll actually have the CT images superimposed over the actual
Right,
patient that
okay.
they're working on. So we've clearly got to be able to accommodate that. So we would have to look at making sure that our pendants, for instance, have the proper outlets to allow those pieces of equipment to function properly. I mean, part of a drive that we've had is that we review all of our products routinely anyway, but we've been trying to go down a path to ensuring that our power consumption is minimised. You know, because back in the day of different lights and halogen lighting and the like, you know, and switching to LED, you know, clearly there's an attendant reduction in the amount of power that's required. And I think the more equipment that they're plugging into a hospital, because the hospital itself, yes, of course, it can have additional power supply, but if we can do it within the existing power supply, so much better. So we're looking at doing anything we can to reduce the amount of power that's required to make our equipment function. And we know that KLS do that as well.
So there's a really big focus on sustainability and operating theatres at the moment. So what are some of the ways in which you can support that as a supplier?
Well, I think one of the things is to build reliable product in the first place, so that actually that you're not changing them unnecessarily. We try and build our equipment to ensure that even at component level that it's going to last. There are repairs that we do have to do on occasion, because that's not unusual, but we've done everything we can to engineer it out to make it as long-lived as possible. I think is one of the things that we're keen to do is that some of the specifications for equipment that are provided, we will do a value-based assessment on that, because procurement nowadays is more focused on that. So we will try and ensure that the specification that's been asked for by the customer, because normally there's a couple of people in between. So you'll have your end user in the operating theatre or the ICU, but you've got MEP and architects and builders in between, and it's trying to make sure that that we interpret correctly what it is that the end user needs. And it might be that we can save them a bit of money along the way and future-proof it. You know, because as we talked about earlier, one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that the kit that we put in is future-proofed, and that's an ongoing process.
So what are some of the things that are really important to future-proofing? What are some of the sort of key aspects that need to be really understood there, do you think?
Well, I think that's a little bit difficult to quantify, because I think some things are changing really quickly, and we talked about AI and other things, but other things are a little bit slower on catch-up, you know. And I think that one of the things that there is a drive to reduce the number of hospital-acquired infections. So we're trying to ensure that not only do the products that we make already do what they can to make them easy to clean and in the first place, but also that the coatings that are used on them antimicrobial.
Right,
you know,
okay.
Because that's something that we think we can do to try and improve that. You know, and I've experienced where my father had 2 operations and got 2 infections after his operation, so I've got a close personal interest in making sure that everything that we do is focused on that. We're also looking at some other products within our portfolio to add towards what might be a decent combination, working with the hospital and the infection control people in the hospital to reduce the opportunities for infections through our equipment. We think we do a pretty good job of that now.
Fantastic. So next steps for this facility, what's on the horizon?
Well, we all within a week of it opening, we had our first customers in, and they had a really productive day, and they found it, and the feedback has been really positive because they were able to get hands on, and they can do it in an environment where it doesn't matter if you make a mistake in here. Otherwise you'd have to go to a live environment, which is not so good from that point of view. Also, just after the bank holiday, we've got a 2-day training program with our sales team on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So they'll be in here getting updated with some of the functions of the lights in particular, and also we're making our sales team a little bit more capable, you know, by investing time and effort in training them too, so they get a better idea of all the products that we do. because currently they tend to sell, we sell in two main strands, either what we call clinical or engineering, and we're trying to sort of bring them together a little bit more so they've got a better understanding of each other's side.
Fantastic.
And that's the next steps, and then after that we've already put it out to the sales team. They can bring people in, and as I've said, it's a broad spectrum of people from architects through to the final end users.
Fantastic. It's a very impressive facility.
Thank you
for inviting me.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.